Hey, what's going on, my friends? It's Dave Sharpe. Welcome to Wake Up Legendary. And this morning, it's all about winners don't make excuses. Read the hat, baby. All right, I'm going to bring in my co-host for today's show. Bring him on in, Mr. Ryan Halpert. What's going on, Ryan? How are you, brother?
I'm doing good. What a drum roll that was. How you doing?
Hey, man, I'm fired up, brother. You know, if you can't get excited about something in your life, then life ain't the problem. You are. So I'm fired up. I'm excited to talk about AI this morning and just kind of give people some more value. We had a great interview yesterday with a young lady who gave a lot of value. Wake Up Legendary is it's a hot commodity here within our little community, and so I want to keep that role kind of going here. So talk to us a little bit about kind of your experience with AI and what you kind of think about AI as a whole for us online marketers.
Yeah, so it's a tool I use nonstop every day. I use it to make most things that I do either faster or easier or better. It's like an assistant. It's like an assistant. And that's actually something I initially heard you say, and then I started looking at it that way ever since. And it's really, I've allowed it to take on that role of being my assistant, my marketing assistant, my administrative assistant, my task assistant, whatever you want to call it. There's so many things you can do with it. And I think that most people just kind of scratch the surface of what it can do. Like they get in and do that initial playing with it phase, and it's just like, oh, well, this is really cool. But then they never really learn how to get really good and get really good results out of it or do really creative stuff. Like some of the things I've done with it are it's made me an expert in things that I have no idea what I'm doing. For instance, one of my lead magnets I gave away for the longest time was a budgeting spreadsheet with a debt payoff calculator and an amortization spending, schedule on it. I don't know how to make formulas for Google Sheets or Excel. ChatGPT did the whole thing. I said, in this box, I'm looking for it to take the number from this box and then multiply it to give me this. And then I just told it what I wanted. And it said, okay, put this in the box. And I put it in there and then it works. So now it's like this massive spreadsheet I was able to create that people liked it. People loved it. And I had no idea how to do that myself. But because of ChatGPT, I'm able to do those kinds of things. So I think people just kind of scratch the surface and don't really dive into some of the deeper things you can do with it.
What do you think some of the most common mistakes? We have we're going to get into some specifics here, but before we do that, what do you think some of the most common kind of misconceptions or mistakes that people make from your experience with using AI?
Just not being, the biggest thing is not being specific or not talking to it the right way, not communicating with it the right way. And being too vague. You got to talk to it like it's a human. Talk to it like if I asked you, hey, create some headlines for me, and that was all I said, you're probably going to return some irrelevant or something that's just not going to work. It's not going to be that good. But if I was very specific and said, Dave, I've got this funnel for this offer. I need you to create some headlines for this audience, right? Obviously, those are templated terms. You fill in the blank with the specifics. You'd be able to return much better stuff to me. So AI is no different. You've got to be very specific with the things that you tell it. And you also got to let it know what its role is, right? Now, in that case, it's a copywriter, it's a marketer, right? ChatGPT can make some assumptions and kind of get it right. But you got to kind of tell it what its role is going to be. So that way it knows, like, okay, this is what my job is. This is what I'm looking to do. Especially when you're asking it a question. I could ask it a question as one role and then ask it the same question as a different role and get a completely different answer, right? If I ask it to act as a copywriter and answer this question, and then I say, act as a content creator and ask it a question, it'll give me two different answers because it's filling two different roles, right? So that's something that actually matters too. And it's just one of the things that a lot of people, I think, just don't really get into. They don't really do. Every time I kind of demonstrated in some of our trainings, there's a handful of people in the comments that say, oh, I got to start using ChatGPT like this. So it's a very common thing.
Yeah, it is. And we have some tips that we're going to go over here. If you want to drop that link to the handout that we have for everybody, class is officially in session. You're going to have a handout that you can access, and we're going to go through this handout with you and kind of give you some specific tips around what you can do with AI, such as ChatGPT, and some of the things that you want to kind of be aware of. My perspective before we kind of get into this is that the same thing that you may have had challenges with in your regular communication or your regular messaging and marketing is going to cause you the same challenges using ChatGPT. And one of those is right as you know, as Ryan just talked about, it's being specific. One of the things that I've talked about with clients for a long time is how to ask better questions. And one of the things that I realized here now, coaching people for 15 years on marketing and entrepreneurship and mindset, is that a lot of people don't really know how to be good students, right? You don't know how to really ask good questions. So a lot of times you enroll in things or you get involved in things and you don't get the full impact or benefit because you don't kind of know how to ask people good quality questions. And so when you're a student or you're kind of going to somebody asking them for their time or asking for them for their knowledge, there's a couple of things that will help you in real life. And that's number one, do all the research that you can do before you go and set your problem in somebody's lap, right? There's ChatGPT, there's Google, there's all this stuff. The second is, be specific, which is our first kind of core principle here of prompt engineering, right? And then if you're asking somebody a question, of course, out in real life, whether it be a mentor or somebody who you want something from them, in order to not waste their time, and in order for them not to give you bad information or information that you already have, it would also be helpful for you to tell them what you've already done and even what you think the answer might be, because then they can just validate it if it is, yes, that's what I do, or yes, that's what the answer is, right? So there's a lot of ways that you can improve and make it more efficient, like faster, the communication between you and a mentor, right? Because usually if you're asking somebody a question, let's just call them a mentor, even if it's a mentor for the moment, right? You really want them to want to help you, right? And I think a lot of people, they don't get an excited response from people because they don't formulate their questions in a way that's easy for the responder to actually give them an answer. It's actually a job. It's difficult. The person that you're asking has to dig, right? So how does that relate to artificial intelligence? Well, starting right here with number one, be specific and structured. This is a robot. Yes, it can do some critical thinking for sure, and it's getting even better at that. But the same principle applies. And if you ask the ChatGPT or the robot a generalized question, it's going to give you a generalized answer, or it's going to come back and it's going to ask you clarifying questions, which can be helpful. But it's better to go ahead and try to be as specific as you can in the beginning, in the initial question. Why? Because your time is valuable, right? And you want to get the best answer that you possibly can. Number two, this is such a big deal. Giving context, right? I like the example here. Make this better versus rewrite this Instagram caption to be more engaging for a Gen Z audience, keep it casual, add a viral hook, and use emojis. That context is something that oftentimes people need. And I think what happens is a lot of times when we say something, we don't give it a whole lot of thought. How would this land if somebody was saying or asking this to me? would it make sense to me? Or would I need additional context to be able to fully understand? The cool thing about ChatGPT is that it, hopefully, right, in some cases, now this is good and bad, it takes a little bit of the, like, it's just you and your computer screen, right? So hopefully there's no pressure. Hopefully you can relax, kind of give it some thought, and ask a better quality question with more context up front, so it can actually give you a powerful answer right off the bat, and you don't need to kind of go back and forth. Or worst case scenario, you just don't get what you're looking for. You get frustrated and you underutilize or stop utilizing the power of ChatGPT or AI. Let's talk about use role-based prompts, Ryan. What does this mean, and help us with some context around it?
Yeah, so the results you get will depend on and change depending on what kind of role you give it. And I found it to make a drastic difference in a lot of cases. And something that's really, really cool. A lot of people use kind of the example that's on here, which is act as a world-class direct response copywriter, or they'll give it some kind of a job title. I've told my chat GPT to write it Alex Hermosi style. I've even said write it Dave Sharpe style, or write it and make it sound like this person wrote it. The other thing you can do is make it like you. So I can give it an example of my own writing, and I can say, make this look and sound like me. So a lot of times when I do that, I'll have it write an email about a particular thing. Like I'll get it to write a decent email. Then I'll go ahead and humanize it myself, but then put my humanized version back in. And I'll say, this is how I write emails. This is an email I really like. Every future email, I want you to make it look and sound like this. And then it'll do a very good job, to the point where I actually almost don't need to change anything at all. And that's a huge piece that most people don't ever take advantage of, because they just don't know it can do that. So as far as like the role-based piece of it, that's really the biggest part right there. And sometimes you'll just get the wrong answer if you don't give it the right role. Sometimes it's like assumed a different role based on the conversation, and now you needed to switch to something else. Like, say you were asking it, like where I've had this issue is like when I'm writing a blog article, I'll have it act as like an SEO specialist. And then I want it to be a copywriter to give me an intro or give me an outro, write some hooks. And now it's not a copywriter right now. It's an SEO specialist. So it's trying to give me stuff that doesn't really sound very good, but it's going to get picked up by Google, right? So that's where you need to kind of adjust the role. So when you start getting some responses in certain situations that aren't very good, you would just tell it, hey, I want you to be a copywriter right now, or I want you to be an SEO specialist right now, or I want you to be, this funnel builder right now because I'm making headlines, or I want you to be a filmmaker. I've used that one a lot when it comes to making scripts and those types of things. And just acting as these different roles gives you better response in different situations. And sometimes I like to even compare. Sometimes I'll say, be a copywriter, be a filmmaker, be a content creator, and then I'll just throw these different roles in there. And then I'll take a look at all the responses. A lot of them will usually be very similar, because what I'll request will be exactly the same, but it's acting as somebody different. So it gives me some different responses. So it's a really, really cool thing to kind of mess around with, and play with, and just see, what kind of different results you can get, as opposed to, like the bad example here, help me write an ad, right? I want this thing to be a world-class direct response copywriter. I want it to be Dave Sharpe. I want it to be some other big name that people know, that I know has great ads and people pay attention to it. Because what it's doing is it's scanning the web, and it's looking at all this person's work. It's taking all that information from this person that was put in, and that's what it's using to craft the response. It's like having that expert sitting right there next to you. Now, you're probably not going to get the brand new innovative idea, but you're going to get, like, if this person were to sit down and write an ad real quick, you'll get it. You'll get that. So that's where the role-based prompts piece really comes in strong.
And this can even be simpler than, right? It can be super simple. So let me show you guys. Let me show you guys an example of something that I did just yesterday. Okay. Here we go. So this video I made yesterday, some of you may have seen it. It was
me to this moment has
with my son. Can you hear the audio, Ryan?
uncertainty.
Yeah.
Work long hours when it seemed like the world was against me, and made sacrifices that often left me feeling worn out and alone.
Anyways, it's a short 1-minute video. I was up at the ranch this weekend. Ryan's been to the ranch, and he knows what that place is like. My son, of course, loves it. And I love my son. He's my little best friend. And, the footage that I got of him at the ranch this weekend, I wanted to turn into a quick video. I woke up yesterday morning, and, in about 30 to 45 minutes, I edited together this quick video with a little call to action at the end. Dads, take that risk, start that business, ruthlessly guard your time. You can't get it back. You got this. Writing a letter to my son, that felt like kind of like a big deal, right? It was like, shit, what do I want to say to my son? And I kind of just felt overwhelmed in that moment, right? And I was just like, oh my God, I could, of course, take days to write this, right, Ryan? Like,
Yeah.
imagine, man, it's like, you want to write a letter to one of your family members or something that you love dearly. And so what I did instead was I went over here to ChatGPT. And I said, write a short 45-second short letter from a young father to his son about how hard life is, but how much he makes it all worth it. And it came back, and I didn't totally love it. So I said, make it person, and I probably meant personal, right? It usually can kind of cut through some of that, about the hardships the father has had to go through to get to this point, to be able to enjoy these moments with his son. And then it came back with the version that I went with, and I read it and I loved it, right? I felt like it was exactly what I was feeling in that moment. And I in that moment, maybe if I thought about it for a couple of days or a couple of weeks, but in that moment, I couldn't have said it better, right? So what I did was I took the footage from the ranch that I had filmed this weekend, which, friends, we're doing this anyways with our kids or with our, right? You're filming a few things anyways. So I took that footage, I uploaded it quickly into CapCut, okay, which is just the editing app that I and many other marketers use. We teach it in specific technical detail in the blueprints. And I edit it together real quick. And then I just recorded the voiceover. You can do that kind of right in CapCut. I just recorded the voiceover. I did it once or 2 or 3 times to nail it, right? And it was really only because I didn't realize that in CapCut you could use this little voice enhancing. It was just a little button at the end right after you recorded it. AI essentially kind of cleans up your audio, right? And makes it sound a little bit better. And so it had taken, the only reason I re-recorded it a couple of times was because I heard like this clicking or whatever in the audio. Otherwise, if I would have just hit the enhance video in CapCut after I recorded it, I would have only done it once, which is what I usually like to do. And I had the video ready and posted, and otherwise that video would have taken me to write that out, and really the emotional kind of, because friends, what I feel like ChatGPT and some of this AI can do is it can take things that otherwise would take us a long time to get done. In this case, it was like emotional. It felt heavy. I was like, oh my gosh, I was thinking about maybe my son will watch this in 20 years. Like, all that shit can cloud just speed, right, of implementation. My son will probably never see this, right? He's not going to have an Instagram account, and it's going to be buried, right? Hopefully I'll keep making awesome videos. But either way, I got it done fast, and ChatGPT helped me do it. And it was still authentic, and it was still personal, and I still made it my own. And of course, I gave a little call to action and blended it into business and starting a business and what I do and what I teach at the end. That's just a very quick example of kind of that iteration of kind of that role, be a father, right? That you were just talking about, Ryan.
Yeah, no, that's a perfect example. And so you came in this instance, you had the idea to do it the letter style, and ChatGPT just wrote the letter.
Say that again.
So in this particular instance, that was kind of the idea you came up with, was I want to write a letter to my son, and then ChatGPT got it. So that's cool.
That was my prompt. I had edited.
Yeah.
I edited together 10 or 12 clips into just little 2-second. Because what I'm realizing nowadays is that if I can splice together clips and make the scene change every 2 seconds or so, like a music video or anything like that, it can be even more engaging, right? So I had about 10 or 12 clips. They were all couple few seconds a piece. I had about a minute or 45 seconds worth of footage. And so I said, hey, write a short 45-second letter from a young father to his son about how hard life is, but how much he makes it all worth it. I gave me version 1. I did an iteration here. I said, make it more personal about the hardships the father has had to go through to get to this point, to be able to enjoy these moments with his son. It nailed it on the second time. I liked it. I went with it. It was done.
It's incredible. It's incredible. Yeah. I mean, and it's just one. I think the big picture here too is that this is just an idea that popped to your head. By the time you did this on your own, or at least I did this on my own, like if I got that idea, right, and I wanted to go ahead and create a letter to my son, or a letter to my wife, or a letter to, by the time I got done writing that, I'd be overthinking everything I put in there so much that I would just crumple the paper and throw it away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It takes so much pressure off too, because there's also an element, I think, when I'm using it, that it's like, this isn't my work. I'm going to kind of pass it off as my own work. And I think that takes, I don't know if that makes any sense, but it takes a little bit of the pressure off, right? When I write something myself, right, and I write it and I don't use AI, and then I submit it, I almost look at that and I kind of like I want to ask ChatGPT for validation before I go ahead and use it, because I almost look at that and I say, is there something obvious here that I'm missing? Like, I feel like there's a missing piece. What I'm looking at seems good, right? But then you just don't. But when you're using the AI and you get those options, right? There's always seems to be, like, especially coming up with things like headlines, it always gives you that one where it's like, ooh, that's it. That's the killer one I'm going to use. It's when you got 10 of them sitting there, it's a lot easier to see the variety, right? And and you can probably relate to crafting something as simple as a headline, right? Usually you come up with 1, you come up with 2, you come up with 3. I mean, you can get 10 of them instantly, and the one you wind up going with isn't even one that you would have thought of on your own. But it starts to, after a while, it starts to really learn you and know you and understand you very well. And it knows how to then create those headlines you really like on the first shot, right? One of the hardest things I took for me was to get ChatGPT to stop making these 2-sided headlines with a colon in the middle. And eventually, right, it stopped giving them to me because it learned what I like. But it's here we go. I got you on a bigger screen now. Yeah, write 20 headlines for a company who sells marketing education. And it's interesting to see what's going to happen here, because that's could be used. What's funny is, on my ChatGPT, it thinks the 5-day challenge is my product, and it thinks Legendary Marketer is my company, because I've used it so much to talk about different things for it.
I mean, the speed at which this thing can pump stuff out is just way beyond anything. And I mean, again, I'm literally just typing something for the demonstration here to see just how fast this can pump something out, right? And how quickly, once it gets going and you've kind of got it working, and also once you keep things within the same, like, I can this particular thread, I can keep this thread going as long as I want about this particular topic. For example, you know, let's see here. Let me pick. Let me pick something that anyway, let's just go with number 20. Now, write a short ebook on the topic I can give away for free to leads who are interested in learning more but not ready to buy a course yet. Write the headline, subheadline, and make the ebook 2,000 words long, packed with value and actionable tips someone could implement right away, and if implemented, could likely see some results, even if small. Boom. And don't worry about typing errors. Don't worry about, I mean, look, friends, just get it done, get it out there, right? See what it'll pump back, get some of this stuff done, right? A beginner's guide to making your first affiliate income, even if you have no experience. Now let's dive in the full ebook, right? And I mean, look at this. It gives you a table of content, you know, and now it's literally writing my 2,000 page ebook. I mean, friends, I need to stand up for this one. Jeez Louise. Hello.
Yeah.
Can I get an amen for the congregation? You know?
I mean, this is comparable really to having an entire team at your disposal. You know what I mean? Having an entire team of you know, in creative writers and copywriters, and even just people to do like you know, small, like for my notes example, right? So like this is something I shared. These are notes. Look at these handwritten notes, friends. Look at how much of it's here. The 3 pages, I don't like to take notes on my computer. I just don't. I prefer to handwrite notes. You know how long it would take me to put these into a Google Doc? It would probably take me about 30 minutes, and then I'd have to organize it, minimum. And I had just sat there on the coaching call that's what these are from. These are from a coaching call. So I sat there for an hour, over an hour on the meeting with this particular person to get these notes. Now I've got to go type them all again, use another half hour of my time. It's just not efficient. You can take, if you see on Dave's screen right there, right under where he was typing, there's a little plus sign. You can upload and attach files to ChatGPT. So what do? I take pictures of this with my phone. You want to make sure your handwriting is moderately legible, and mine's really not. I don't know if you can read any of that, but when I take it and I upload the pictures into ChatGPT and I just say, these are some handwritten notes, right? Context first. These are some handwritten notes from a coaching call I did with a client. I want you to analyze and organize all of my notes for me. And that's it. That's the whole thing. And then what it does is it will put them all into a bulleted list. And that's it. And now my notes, right? It took me 2 or 3 minutes. And now I can take these, watch this. I already did this. I can wrinkle them up and I can get rid of them. I don't need them anymore because they were just sitting on the desk from yesterday. I hadn't gone ahead and thrown them away yet. So I don't need those anymore because I got a digital version and I've already saved it. right? So, and that's just one of the uses. I remember when we were at the ranch, Dave, and I could watch your mind blown reaction when I showed you how to do the thing on the microwave. You can even take this and you can take pictures of things and ask it for information, right? So, like for instance, I don't really have anything here. Here, watch. I can do it right here on this. So, for those of you who don't know, ChatGPT actually has a phone app, right? And I'm using it. I don't use Google anymore. I'm not going to go type something into Google and then look through the results and then have to read shit. I'm just going to type into ChatGPT on my phone what I'm looking for, right? So I can just hit this. It attaches right to my camera. I take a picture of this, right? Let's do this. I'm going to snap a picture of my microphone and I'm going to attach it and I'm going to say, tell me everything you can about this microphone I took a picture of. I'm not giving it anything, right? I gave it a picture of my microphone. And it's showing the text backwards, but I'll be able to read it to you. I'm a pretty good reader. This microphone, the microphone in your picture is a Shure SM7B, one of the most well-known microphones, widely dynamic. It's good for broadcasting, podcasting, and professional voice recording. Key features, right? And then it's going into some of the actual technical specs, right? Frequency response, 50 hertz to 20,000 hertz, whatever that means, right? And now I could go from here and ask it any questions I want about this particular microphone. I could even go into like troubleshooting type of stuff. Right. So when it comes to like getting stuck and I'm stuck on things in my business and I'm stuck on things in my life, you can use this, right? What's a step-by-step guide for getting Aweber connected to ClickFunnels, right? And it will tell you that step-by-step that you can follow. Another thing that's really, really interesting, really funny is last night, I actually had some family in town the past week. They just flew out this morning. We dropped them off at the airport at like 6 o'clock this morning to fly out of St. Pete, and they're going back to New York. Thank God. But anyways, they were here, and my brother and my grandmother and my grandfather, we were here. We were looking at ChatGPT, and ChatGPT, I actually was using the voice version of it. You can talk to it, and it'll talk back to you. I don't know if you've ever done that, Dave, but like when you can talk to it, ask it questions, and then the voice will talk back. So I gave it this hypothetical situation, and I told it I got rear-ended and I don't know what to do. And this thing like walked me through every single step that I should take. So like if you're somebody, now I'm not saying you should trust it with every little detail like this, but like for someone like my brother, he's never had that happen. He's kind of younger. I don't know. I feel like in that situation, he'd probably panic just knowing him the way I know him. If somebody were to run into the back of his car, right? So ChatGPT, this just happened. What do I do? Right? And it gave him a step-by-step, right? Get the information, get this specific information, call the police, get a police report. But first it said, make sure everybody's okay. So this thing's evolving. This thing is going to be closing sales soon. This thing is going to be your salesperson. It's going to be that person that takes over and is actually on the other end of the phone when somebody dials your company or you dial another company, right? So it's evolving so fast and it's changing the world so drastically that it's just incredible. It's absolutely mind-blowing.
Yeah. I mean, I see a lot of comments in here about different AIs, and folks, here's the truth. None of you are using any of the ChatGPT or the AI to their full potential. So it doesn't matter. I mean, I want you guys to notice kind of the pattern that is happening even right now. And I've seen this over the past 15 years. Anything that people can be like, well, this or that, well, what's the best one? And stop and freeze, people will do, right? It's happened with like funnel builders and pieces of software. Both of them do the same thing, basically. And people will stay on like, but did you hear about this one? Or did you hear about that one? Guys, you guys have brought up in the comments Gronk and Claude and who, I mean, yeah, they all are similar, and maybe one has something that the other doesn't. But the bottom line is what have you really done with even one of them? Have you had it do anything for you, right? So that's kind of what today is about, is kind of just getting you guys to like see that, yes, there's tons of different AI. Every company's going to have AI. Twitter has its own AI thing. It's Grok or Gronk or whatever. Google is as well. Apple is as well. The old Google search bar of like searching something and having websites come up is going to be a thing of the past. It's going to be gone. This is all that we're going to use in the future. It's all we're going to use, right? And it's going to get even different. It's going to get even more unique, and it's not going to look at all like even what it looks like right now. In some way, shape, or form, it's going to continue to evolve. We're eventually going to have robots in our houses doing stuff, or some people will. There's going to be, this AI. Many of you saw my video where I traded my G-Wagon in and bought the Cadillac Escalade V. It's the new Escalade with it's got a damn screen. It's got literally a TV in almost every seat. It's unbelievable, but it's got a Corvette engine in it. I just love it. But it's got a unique feature called Super Cruise on it. That's not quite like the Tesla self-driving, that's basically you can type in where you want to go and it'll drive you there. But just the Super Cruise on the Cadillac Escalade, once on a highway, not in city streets, but once on a highway, it literally drove the vehicle this weekend from my beach house to the ranch on its own. Over 50% of the time now that I'm driving, I don't have to have my hands on the wheel. It makes sure that I'm paying attention. If it senses that I'm on my phone or looking away for too long, it'll vibrate my seat and it'll flash red that I got to take over the wheel. But this is not going anywhere. And if you guys are like not using this because there's multiple choices, the problem is not AI, it's your decisiveness and your like ability to be able to just use something. Just use something. Just do something with it, right? Because it's only going to get like, I've never used any other AI except ChatGPT. Never opened Claude, never opened Gronk, don't know what else is out there and available, don't care. I pay $20 a month for the upgraded ChatGPT. It's a great, worthwhile $20 a month. It gives me some advanced, whatever they're advanced. I don't know. I don't care what it's called. I really don't. I've built a career on not knowing the weeds, but seeing the big picture. Let me say that again. 15 years, millions of dollars, a debt-free lifestyle that's beyond my wildest imagination as a high school dropout. And I've built a career not caring about the details, but seeing the big picture and finding a tool and learning how to use that tool really good. Just like construction workers. Like I know guys who are master craftsmen, and I knew them back when I was working, and there would be all kinds of new tools and technology, and they'd have that same tape measure and that same old hammer and that same old drill because they mastered that. And that's what they use. See, the tool doesn't matter how many different tools are at the store that you can buy. It matters which one you decide to walk out the store with and to use, right? And so that's my hope for all of you, is that you can take this, and if you drop that PDF link one more time for everybody to kind of take this instruction and this kind of, this foundation for you to use to kind of be thinking about every time you go to ChatGPT or whatever you're using, because these foundational principles will work on any of the AI, right? They'll work on any of them. And that's what I think you guys have to really get through your heads, is that the same principles apply to every funnel builder. The same principles apply to every kind of ChatGPT thing, like the high level principles of being specific, adding context, asking it to like be in a role and kind of be thinking like a certain type of person. And then iterating and giving it feedback and giving it specific feedback and saying, no, adjust this way, or make it more like this, or make it more provocative, or make it more curiosity driven, or make it more exciting, or be more negative, or be more self-deprecating, or act as, pretend you're Jerry Seinfeld, write a joke with his personality and his voice, with his humor, based on his 20 years of stand-up comedy experience. I mean, comedians nowadays that can't come up with content. I watch a show called Kill Tony on YouTube because I like it and I like comedy, and it's just a thing that I put on in the background sometimes and just enjoy for fun. It's like people who can't come up with a good joke. It's like, why not? How? In 2025 with Claude and Gronk and all this stuff, how do you not come up with something funny, with something to say? How can any person who wants to be a marketer or a content creator say, I don't know what to say in my videos? You have endless ideas, and you don't even have to do the thinking. It makes me want to just shake people. My rant's over.
That's what it boils down to. I mean, it gets, I get that way too. I get it too. It's like, there's, so, and hopefully this workshop's helping people with that, right? There's not a reason, there's not a legitimate, justifiable reason you should be stuck. I mean, not only is there, right, was there not a reason before, because there was just endless examples of stuff that worked right on social media, right? Back 2021, when I started, we didn't have ChatGPT, right? That's like a January.
You sound like an old man now. Like, back in my day, we didn't even have ChatGPT. We walked those hills uphill to post a video on social media.
Back when we were walking uphill in the snow both ways with no shoes. Yeah, no, we didn't have it back in our day when we got started. Oh, I love that. I love that I could say that and act that way. But they didn't, right?
Now, bro, you're an OG before AI, dude.
Yeah, look at that, man. That's awesome. But yeah, even back then, right? It was like all the examples. It's like there's no reason you should have trouble. Now there's really no reason you should be stuck. You've got an expert at everything and anything right at your disposal. You just type to it, right? It's like, imagine you have, right? And I think the biggest thing to take away to get the most out of it is, right? Imagine you actually did have that expert on the other side, right? Imagine it was Dave Sharpe on the other side of that chat, or it was whoever that expert person is that you're trying to use, that you need, right? It was the SEO or whatever on the other side. Are you going to sit there and waste their time with some kind of crap message that's not going to give them enough information? Like, no, you're going to go ahead and you're going to put the time in, and you're going to make sure that you're putting in a good quality message that's going to give them the details they need to give you the best response possible, right? So you just do the same thing, and you'll have that. And then you don't have to feel bad about saying all of its ideas sucked if you didn't like any of them. You just say, hey, I really like these, or do these a little bit differently, right? That's the iterate part of what's on this PDF we gave you.
I want to cover one thing that Monty said, and I appreciate this, my man. I guess I'm trying to keep it real, which is killing my productivity. And dude, like, I just want to make sure that you're not playing by a different set of rules that everybody else is playing with, brother. That's like the big thing about your comment that I think is important to say, is that, like, you guys need to make sure you're playing like with this by the same rules that everybody else is playing with. And when you compare like what you're getting done to others when others have all of these unfair advantages. For example, they're using AI, they're using ChatGPT. Like, the word productivity really kind of hit me because, yeah, man, I mean, as I was saying at the beginning of the show with my my video example with my son, like, that would have taken me hours to and possibly days, like, to come back and really think about that. Like, again, the before AI reference here, it's like, yeah, before all that, if I would have wrote that letter, it would have taken me a long time. And I think that one of the things that AI can do for you is that it can at least get you a first draft fast, right? And that is the most important part of any sales letter, email, video script, anything, is the first draft. Like, you got to get that first draft done. And what ChatGPT does, and I'm just going to say ChatGPT because you can, whether it's Claude, whatever you use, but what ChatGPT can do is it can give you that first draft fast. And then you can go in and you can edit that. Or you can tell it to make it more like this and more like that. And what's actually interesting, Monty, in the direction that we're headed with all of this, I believe, is that many of us are going to, or all of us in some fashion, are going to have automated artificial intelligence responses and have robots, whether that be within our home or within our business, or in this case, just training. You can train your AI to speak like you. Like, the more that you interact with it and the more that you type into it and maybe copy and paste something that you have written, or upload something, an audio of you talking, right? You can train it to kind of say, hey, write it in this voice. This is my voice. And I want it written in so it sounds like me, right? Yes. Is it original or, quote, authentic in the sense that you sat there and wrote it all out yourself? No. But neither is anybody else's nowadays, dude. So there's other ways that you can experience life in that full, authentic, like, this is me. I can go out on my boat and turn my cell phone off with friends and enjoy the presence of human beings. And it can, but this is a business. My guess is all of you are here because you want to build a business, you want to make money, you want to monetize your time, and money loves speed. And that's never going to change. Money loves speed of implementation. And a lot of your income will depend on two things: your creativity, your out of the box thinking. That's number one. And number two is the speed at which you can test things. The speed at which you can implement. Can you get an idea today and have it implemented within 24 hours? Can you have a video idea right now and have it uploaded by the end? See, I woke up yesterday morning with a video idea and it was done in 45 minutes. That's the hit, Monty. And so, brother, don't kill your productivity because you're playing by a different set of rules. Get that realness, and you can still have it in your business, dude. Using tools to amplify your voice and to improve your productivity is not being real, dude. Would you say that I'm not real because I use AI? No, I'm still getting on here keeping it really real. Sometimes too real, I fear, right? Like, shit, they ain't ready for that type of language. But it's like, I want to be productive too. I want to be productive. I want to make the most out of my time. It's called leverage. And quite frankly, if you tie this back to one of the books that we've always recommended to our students, which is Rich Dad, Poor Dad, you don't really move out of the self-employed seat until you have people and systems working for you, right? People and systems working for you. And for the most part, it's systems nowadays, right? Unfortunately. I mean, the workforce is evolving. I don't know if it's quite being replaced, but it's definitely being evolved. So anyways, man, any final thoughts?
Man, I mean,
Really
that's
too much
really
to
such a
take,
good
right?
note to end it on.
Yeah. Let's leave it right there for everybody. My friend, I will see you here in a bit. Thanks as always for the value and the contribution that you bring. It's priceless, and we love you for it. So I'll talk to you in a bit.
Absolutely, man. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, my friends. We will be back here tomorrow for another episode. I have a couple of calls today, one of which is with our accountability students. We've got an accountability coaching program that's been a real hit with our clients. Just the personal and professional breakthroughs that people have had in the program of actually working with somebody and actually being held accountable by a top professional is a game changer. And so, I mean, there's probably a lot of people on this Wake Up Legendary right now who are a part of our accountability coaching program, and you can hear it from them as well. But it's been a blast. It's been a hit. Today, we are doing our monthly vision call, and I'm going to be going over some high touch, low tech solutions and breakthrough strategies that people are using, that I'm using, that we're using right here to be able to make more affiliate marketing sales, course, and even high ticket coaching sales. And so if you would like to get some information about that program, potentially even enroll in that program, you can actually text me personally. I have, and it's sitting right over there. I have my personal phone and I have my my business phone, or excuse me, my personal phone and my business phone. You can actually text me, and I'll give you the number here right now, because of course I don't memorize my numbers. But it is 727. I'm going to put it in the chat as well. 310-7753. Okay. Text me at 727-310-7753, because there's time if you would like to get enrolled in our accountability coaching program. Make something happen. Make a impactful decision for your business, for your personal and professional goals and the things that you want to accomplish this year. Text me, and I'll give you some information. If you want to enroll, I'll even pop on and welcome you to the program. I want to talk to you so I can make sure that I match you with the right accountability mentor within our program. We've got some excellent professionals that people love working with. And so text me, I'll get you that information, and there's still time to be able to make it to that 1 o'clock call that I'm going to be hosting for all of those clients here in a couple of hours. Text me 727-310-7753. And with that being said, we'll see you back here tomorrow for another episode. Get out of here, my friends. Love you all. Peace.